Are you ready to feel the roar? We certainly are. Welcome. We are here at the Nürburgring, and this weather is so much better than yesterday, where we had the problem with the fog, where we had almost a 4-hour delay, but now it's sunny, only a few clouds in the sky. We're thrilled to get this race going, and the man who rocked the race yesterday was Sheldon Van Der Linde. Now also, you're the leader of the championship, so you've got to be thrilled about yesterday's outcome.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, super thrilled to again be on pole as well now after taking the championship lead again yesterday. That's obviously the main goal this year, is just to kind of stay in the mix and constantly score points. I didn't expect to win yesterday, and I didn't expect to be on pole either today, but it shows you that the most unexpected things in life come when you don't expect it, you know, and yeah, looking forward to starting next to Calvin, obviously. I think we did this once last year at Lausitzring. Unfortunately, I couldn't bring it to the end, but I think today it's going to be a closer fight.
But of course, the question is going to be, Calvin, you're right behind your brother. You're in P2, and even though he's the leader of the championship and he's your brother, I bet that's not going to be interesting to you, because you're just going to race full ahead. Are you going to attack?
I'm a fighter, as you know, but it's a bit different when your siblings next to you. You've got to take care of the little ones, you know. So. Yeah, let's see. I won't fight him too hard, but I'm definitely going to try and get my first win for the season.
But let me guess, I understand that, but Sheldon, you're going to put on a strong battle here. We're going to see some excitement again, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm going to give everything I have. The car should be good today as well. It was very good in the race yesterday, so yeah, looking forward to the fight. Always up for it. Like Calvin said, we're not going to do anything stupid, but we're definitely going to put on a show for the fans, and I think we both want to win, so it's pretty clear.
Absolutely. So the question is going to be, who's going to get the banana or the ice cream in the end? So best of luck to both of you. Thank you so much. You go for it, you guys, and we're excited to see a very fantastic race in just a bit. So here's your commentator.
Thanks very much indeed, Verena. Yes, I reckon it is going to be a fantastic race, this, because we had already the closest gap we've ever had this season in qualifying between the top two. The Van Der Linde brothers separated by just 10,000ths of a second. And then we had the top six covered by less than a tenth of a second in what was a very tight qualifying session. So Sheldon and Kelvin Van Der Linde, 1-2 historic race finish yesterday, 1-2 on the grid for this one. Dennis Olsen, disappointment yesterday for him and Porsche, but third on the grid for this one. Mirko Bortolotti did qualify fourth, but he's got a 5-place grid penalty. So fourth is Tommy Preining on row 3. Philip Eng had a good 6th-place finish yesterday and an excellent 4th-place finish from Maximilian Gutz yesterday. He's going to be 6th on the grid. Lucas Stoltz starts 7th. Lawrence Van Toor starts 8th. Bortolotti demoted to 9th with that penalty. Lucas Auer tried something different in qualifying earlier. He went out of sync with everybody else, and he was quickest with about 6 or 7 minutes to go, having not gone out for the first 10-15 minutes of the session, but everybody went quicker right at the end, and he dropped from 1st down to 10th. So Lugi with work to do from 10th on the grid. Nico Muller and Marco Vittman likewise might be 2 to watch coming forward from the 6th row of the grid. And right at the back of the grid, Theo Uverhaus, who made his debut yesterday and became the youngest ever DTM driver at the age of just 17. There's Mirko Bortolotti, who lost the championship lead yesterday with 2-time champion Marco Vittman alongside him, having a chat, wishing him luck. My name's Chris Hartley, and I'm going to be talking you through the action this afternoon with 55 minutes plus 1 lap to come in what's going to be the 10th round of the championship. So there was drama on the track yesterday, coming together between the top two. Mirko Bortolotti was one of the drivers involved. Let's head back down to the grid and Verena.
And I'm here with Mirko Bortolotti, and obviously Mirko had a lot of bad luck yesterday because he was 2nd in the race, and then unfortunately there was some contact with Felipe Fraga, which also you got a penalty for, and that's why now you're starting in P9. You also lost the leadership of the championship, so it's going to be so tough for you today, right?
Yeah, for sure. And it was not bad luck. It was full my responsibility, as I said yesterday. We got a penalty from it. It was a really bad day in the end, but yeah, I tried to win the race. That was the only spot where I could try to attack the Ferrari, because I was 45 minutes behind him, driving one of my best races ever, taking care of every exit, being perfect on power, but he always pulled away, so I never had a chance to attack him on the rest of the track, so that was the only opportunity. I decided to take the opportunity. Unfortunately, it didn't go the way I wanted, and we had a really bad ending to the day. But yeah, as I said yesterday is yesterday. Unfortunately, we cannot change it anymore. We have to focus on today. We start from P9, not ideal. Long race ahead. Let's see what happens.
But I guess it's going to be full attack, and hopefully the sunshine is going to be shining for you today.
Hope so.
All right. Mirko, thank you very much. Best of luck for the race. And we're going to try to grab Lukas Auer. And I just heard that he's not here because he will be starting in P10. And obviously, Luki yesterday had a really good race. Then, unfortunately, bad luck struck there as well. And I was going to ask him what the problem was, but I guess we'll find out later. So now we're excited to have this 90th race here of the DTM at the Nürburgring to get started. We're absolutely thrilled. So hold on tight and enjoy. Here's your commentator.
Thanks, Verena. Yeah, Lukas Auer started 5th yesterday. Had a brilliant start. In the first lap, he got himself up to 2nd place. But he then started to struggle with the car. Now, remember, we had all that fog yesterday. We were starting the race 4 hours late, and there was also a drizzle in the air, so there's lots of damp patches on the circuit. They're on slick tyres, but it's very greasy, very slippery, and Luki just couldn't get the car working. So he said afterwards that he pitted earlier than the team wanted to. And then the car was great after that in the second half, but he just lost too much time the first half of the stint. So he ended up where he started in 5th place, but he's still up there, 4th in the championship, Lukas Auer. There's Tommy Preining, who grabbed a quick chat with him after the race yesterday as well. It was splitter damage that forced him to retire, having gone over the curbs, particularly at the chicane. So a great start he had, from 10th up to 4th in the opening laps. But Tommy has got another chance from 4th on the grid, and another chance for Dennis Olsen, who was one of the Porsche drivers with bad luck yesterday. Various comings together out on the circuit. Had a coming together in a 3 abreast moment with René Rast and Maximilian Gotz, and he was a non-finisher, as was his teammate, Laurens van Teur. Right, we can hear from another driver now with Verena down on the grid.
Guess who I found? Lukas Auer. So here you are. Luki, tell us about yesterday. I mean, it was looking good for you, but then unfortunately in the end it was bad luck, or what was the problem yesterday?
First 1.5 laps, I agree with you, was very good. Then I lost some base, and then we had to do a different strategy. So at the end with P5 I was happy. We had some luck. But we are struggling a bit with pace.
And also today you'll be starting in P10, so it's going to be a tough one for you.
Yes, I think so too. But normally Nürburgring always offers some crazy races, so let's see.
Crazy races and crazy weather. So after yesterday with the fog, I guess today you appreciate the sunshine and the dry, right?
To be honest, when you start from P10, I hope the rain comes down, whatever. Just something unexpected, but right. I take it.
We know the Eifel is unpredictable, so who knows if the weather god heard your plea there. All right, well, best of luck for the race. Thank you so much, Luka. And now we're ready to get racing. So here's your commentator. Enjoy.
Well done, Verena. Great to grab Luke. He always brightens up the grid, doesn't he? Even though he's not where he wants to be in 10th position. I think he's probably very optimistic about any rain, though. It's completely blue skies, 1 or 2 clouds around, but they're all white, not grey, not black, no rain threatening whatsoever. It's a very different weather than we had yesterday, and it's gradually warmed up as well. In qualifying this morning, it was only 15 degrees. It's still not boiling hot, 18 degrees, but certainly a lot warmer than it was for the race yesterday, when it was only 13 degrees the air temperature, and more significantly the track temperature in terms of how much grip it's going to give the cars. And the slick Michelin tyres should be good, because even though the air temperature is not that high, the track temperature is just about raised over 38 degrees now, with the sun baking down upon it. There you can see a great crowd, really busy crowd that we've had here this weekend. They had to be very, very patient yesterday, and understandably 1 or 2 of them gave up in the end and went home before the race started, eventually at 5:15 p.m. But it's been really busy all the way through the last 3 days here at the Nürburgring. A great cathedral of speed. Great to see so many of them here. Great to hear from Lukas Auer, who's one of the winners at the Nürburgring in the past. He won in 2017. He got his first pole position in DTM here in 2015. So very racy yesterday to begin with, and then the pace went off the boil. Picked up a 5th after Bortolotti and Fraga came together in their battle for the lead. But again, huge respect to Mirko Bortolotti for fronting up, holding his hands up and saying, look, it was my fault, I made a mistake, and not trying to hide that fact. He's got this grid penalty. Let's see what he can do from 9th on the grid. And the BOP has changed as well, the balance of performance to equalise things amongst these different brands of cars since qualifying this morning. So the Audis have got another 5 kilograms extra on board. The Ferraris have been lightened by 5 kilograms. Porsche have got a slightly heavier car than they had in qualifying, with 5 kilograms added on. And the Lamborghinis have had a change as well. 20 kilograms change since the start of the weekend. So a few tweaks here and there. A little bit less boost for the BMWs. And let's see how it all manages to equal out. So the Nürburgring here in Germany in the Eifel Mountains. Of course, the area famed for the Nordschleife, the Green Hell, as Jackie Stewart nicknamed it back in 1970. And just adjacent to that and joined to it is the Grand Prix circuit, which is where we're racing this weekend. This was first built in 1984. The first ever race here was a Race of Champions special event won by young Ayrton Senna. Michael Schumacher won his first Formula One Grand Prix for Benetton here in 1995. And it's hosted 17 Grand Prix over the years, most recently the Eifel Grand Prix in 2021 by Sir Lewis Hamilton. The first race here hosted in 2001 by Bernd Schneider, who took pole and both race victories for Mercedes. And there is the famous Nürburgring Castle, built in Roman times. You can walk up there and get a fantastic view over the area and over this fantastic 3.629 kilometre long circuit. We used the sprint version of the circuit, not quite the full Grand Prix layout. So there are 11 corners, runs in a clockwise direction, and it features some tight, twisty sections, particularly at the start of the lap, but it really opens out and is very quick at the back straight. There, Martin Tomczyk having a word with the Abt Sportsline team boss, team principal, Thomas Biermeier. Had a pretty good day yesterday, all in all, especially for that man, Sheldon Van Der Linde. So nothing between him and his brother, this man here, his younger brother Sheldon, in qualifying. 10 thousandths of a second between them, only 27 thousandths of a second between the top three. And I think a fascinating race is promised for us. In terms of how yesterday's results and the points awarded for qualifying in the top three this morning set things up for the championship table, with 9 rounds complete and 7 to go, including the one we're about to start. Sheldon Van Der Linde is now on 108 points. Mirko Bortolotti yet to score this weekend. He did get the fastest lap of the race yesterday. The Auto Hero fastest lap bonus point can only be awarded, though, if you finish the race in the top 10, and he didn't. So it stays on 89 points, and as we know, as we've heard, has to start from 9th on the grid, the former championship leader. So 108 points for Sheldon Van Der Linde, 89 points for Mirko Bortolotti. René Rast was really in the wars yesterday, said, I don't think I've done a race where I've had so much contact. So he picked up a top 10 finish, but only a few points yesterday with 9th. And he's on 81 points, 3rd in the championship. Lucas Hauer, who we heard from on the grid, is 4th on 70 points. Ricardo Feller, who was on the podium yesterday for the second time in his first season of DTM after winning at Imola, he is 5th in the championship on 63 points. And Nico Müller, frustrated yesterday, didn't score any points, dropped from 4th down to 6th in the standings. He's on 62. Sheldon Van Der Linde, after his 2 points from qualifying and his second place finish yesterday, has rocketed from 13th up to 7th place in the championship. 54 points he has scored, and he's 54 points behind his brother, the championship leader. Could we see a late surge, a second half charge from Sheldon for the championship title? They're brothers, they might be, but they race for different brands, they race for different teams, and they're both expected to win this race by their respective backers. We saw on the onboard there of very unlucky Felipe Fraga, who, to just make matters worse, didn't have a great qualifying earlier, so leading the race for most of the race yesterday until that contact with Mirko Bortolotti, and has still only finished 2 races so far this season out of the 9. That was his teammate Nick Cassidy, and they've got a lot of work to do. Felipe Fraga is back 16th on the grid, Nick Cassidy 19th on the grid, despite the fact he got himself up into the top 3 or 4 in qualifying at one stage with only a few minutes to go. But everybody really improved in that final lap and a half of the session, and Nick Cassidy, even though he's not that far off the pace, dropped down to 19th position. So 55 minutes plus 1 lap of racing, the grid being cleared now, and we're only about 40 seconds away from the heading onto the formation lap. And there's a mandatory pit stop that everybody has to take between minutes 10 and 40 of the race, and you have to change all 4 tyres during the course of that. Stick to the pit lane speed limit, of course, of 60 kilometres an hour on the way in and the way out of your pit box. And the other thing that you have to do is make sure there aren't too many people working on the car. Only 6 can work on the car, and only 4 actively changing the wheels. One of them holds the lollipop, one of them is a tyre catcher, and you have to change the rear wheels first, then the front wheels, before you are released back onto the circuit. No refuelling during the mandatory pit stops, and one of the rule changes this year is that you can make a mandatory pit stop during a safety car or a full course yellow which was not the case last year. You could pit, but it didn't count as your mandatory pit stop in 2021. In 2022, it does. There's our first view then of the very tight cambered turn 1, a first gear corner where you've got 3 or 4 different lines coming out of that corner. Tight in puts you on the outside for turn 2, the left-hander, the second gear corner, which follows almost immediately. So if you try and go around the outside, you can stay on the outside. It's more distance to cover through turn 1. It's a bit of a risk, but you can hop up the inside into turn 2. There's passing opportunities into the left at turn 3 through the AMG arena as well, as they go through that in third gear. It's a good overtaking opportunity, but you've got to get it right. Laurens Vanthoor tried to get past Maximilian Gutz yesterday. The pair of them were just behind René Rast. He outbraked himself on a slippery circuit, caught the back of René Rast and sent René into a spin and damaged his own car and dropped out of the race. So Porsche with huge promise on Friday and lots of speed between the SSR Performance drivers of Laurens Vanthoor and Dennis Olsen and the Koos Team Bernhard car of Tommy Preining. Really quick on Friday, but they got absolutely 0 in terms of points out of the race yesterday. SSR Performance were 1-2 at one point in qualifying this morning. Dennis Olsen did well, starts third, and Laurens Vanthoor starting in 8th. They both had easily their best qualifyings of the season so far. So the Van der Lindes on row 1, Olsen and Preining on row 2, Eng and Gutz on row 3, Stoltz and Vanthoor on row 4, and row 5, we've got Bortolotti to watch and Auer to complete the top 10. You just saw in the garage putting his headset on Timo Bernhard, the 5-time Nürburgring winner, the multiple Le Mans winner and boss of the Koos Team Bernhard squad, who run Tommy Preining, who starts 4th on the grid in the number 24 Porsche. Right, the safety car, the course car, peels in, and the cars starting to bunch up now. Ready for race 2 here. Round 10 of DTM 2022 about to get underway. I'm Chris Hartley here trackside to talk you through the action. There, see them heading out of the last corner now, just about to come past the commentary box window. And then when the red lights go out, they'll thunder into life. The race gets going and round 10 is underway and it's a tight start. Look at Lucas Auer, all on the grass trying to get through in the blue and white number 22 Mercedes, but Sheldon Van Der Linde has made a good start. Kelvin has not. He's dropped back to 4th or 5th place here. So it's going to be Dennis Olsen behind the pole sitter going through turn 1. Philip Eng makes a good start. Lucas Auer goes well out wide, and Tommy Preining in the blue and red Porsche is trying to make ground up as well from 4th on the grid. He's trying to fend off Kelvin Van Der Linde out side by side for the lead of the race between the two Sherbert Motorsport BMWs. Blue car of Eng trying to come around the yellow and red of Van Der Linde, but he can't do it at turn 2. All 3, and the pole sitter stays ahead. And there is the Ferrari not having a great start of Felipe Fraga, trying to make up a lot of ground from the second half of the field. So Sheldon Van Der Linde leads second with a great start. From 3rd on the grid is Philip Eng. And then in 3rd place it's Dennis Olsen. 4th is Kelvin Van Der Linde, and it's side by side for 5th between Preining and Gutz, but Preining in the Porsche has fended off Gutz. And then you've got Lucas Stoltz in the yellow Mercedes just behind the pair of them, trying to get in on the action as well. He got tapped into a spin on the last corner of lap 1 yesterday, Luca. Has been a very, very consistent driver so far this season. Great onboard views then, looking back at this battle for the lead of the race as they come up the chicane through the Wiedel section for the first time. They go left, right through there, and then right in second gear through this final corner. And Marco Vittman, look, having a stab at the inside now of Maximilian Gutz. 2 champions running side by side, one in a BMW, the 2-time champion, and one, the reigning champion, in the pink number 1 Mercedes. Absolutely wheel to wheel and wing mirror to wing mirror as they end lap 1. But it's a BMW 1-2 at the moment. There's Tommy Preining looking down the inside of Kelvin Van Der Linde into turn 1. He's got the job done, but he's gone wide. Over the line he goes. He should be able to fend off the South African into turn 2 though, which he does. So 4th place then for him, and then Lucas Stoltz trying to get in on the action as well, trying to swing out wide here to get the inside line for the right-hander at turn 4. Kelvin knows what's coming. Can he do anything about it though? No, he can't. Stoltz is through, and the Mercedes grabs a place as well. So now he has to go on the defence on the run down to the hairpin at turn number 5. This is where they turn off the Grand Prix circuit. And meanwhile, nose to tail for the lead of the race here between Sheldon Van Der Linde and Philip Eng, teammates. So he's probably thinking, I'm going to have to deal with my brother for the first couple of laps. That hasn't been the case. As they said, they were 1-2 on the grid at Lausitzring last year. Neither of them made the podium. Kelvin finished 4th. Sheldon finished in 9th place. But Sheldon, the championship leader here on course in the very early stages of this race for what would be his 4th win of the season. Bearing in mind, nobody else has won more than 1 race this season. Right, here's Mirko Bortolotti getting on. answer, not great. He's dropped positions. He's down in 15th place after the first couple of laps, having started 9th on the grid. There is the driver second in the championship in the number 63 Lamborghini, and Dev Gore has ground to a halt on the circuit as well, I'm afraid, with a problem, and that is coming out of turn 7. So that's on the back straight. Team radio there from Dev Gore, just reporting back, but he's stranded in a very precarious position there. So we'll see if they're able to continue on, or we get the car fired up, or we might need potentially a safety car. The race directors will make that call pretty shortly, I suspect, as Mirko Bortolotti gets up the inside of Michael Grenier to snatch at least one position back. So Sheldon Van Der Linde, Philipp Eng, Dennis Olsen, the top 3, Tommy Preining, Lucas Stoltz, Kelvin Van Der Linde, rounding out the top 6, Auer in 7th, Vittman in 8th, Vantor 9th, and Guts, despite a good start to the race, back in 10th position. Maximilian Guts yesterday said that that 4th place finished felt like a podium. So it's much fun he had in that battle, or the battles that he had. So it's one of the craziest races I've ever driven, but it was great fun. But 10th he is, so they go past Dev Gore's stricken car, I'm afraid. Stranded there on the circuit, as I say, coming out of turn 7. It's the beginning of the uphill run up towards Adven Boga, the flat-out right-hander, and then this chicane at the top of the hill. They've all made it safely past for now, and no sign as yet of the safety car. Got pretty close on that lap a couple of times between Sheldon Van Der Linde and Philipp Eng, but have we got Dev Gore going again? The answer is yes, we have. The car has fired up, so that's good news from the race point of view and the neutrals point of view, because it means we can continue on. Right, let's get a replay of the start. Good start from Dennis Olsen. So he'd already nosed in front of Kelvin Van Der Linde as they went up through the gears. Kelvin didn't look too bad off the line, but he just sort of slipped back gradually on that run to turn 1. There to the left is Lucas Auer with 2 wheels on the grass. Good start from Marco Vittman as well, coming past in the green and white Volkenhorst BMW. And just a bit bogged down off the start, really, for Bortolotti. There's Auer coming around the outside of Stoltz. The inside is the number 1 of the reigning champion, Maximilian Guts, and they're loving it all. Are the fans, and that's Nick Cassidy's Ferrari stranded in the circuit as well. So that's had a spin coming together, potentially, because it's pointed in a very odd direction, but he gets going again. That's coming out of the complex, coming out of turn 4, right at the start of that lap. So Cassidy will drop towards the back of the field with that, but everybody still running. Right, you can see the top 5 are pretty much glued together here. Sheldon Van Der Linde, Philipp Eng, then the Porsche of Dennis Olsen, the Porsche of Tommy Preining, and back of that train in 5th place is Lucas Stoltz in the HRT Mercedes. HRT, one of the local teams to the circuit, and that going very slowly, I'm afraid, with a right rear puncture is Maro Engel, former Nürburgring 24-hour race winner. And, right, that explains then why Nick Cassidy was pointed in the wrong direction. And what's happened there is that Maro Engel has tried to pass Nick Cassidy. Contact has happened right in front of Mirko Bortolotti and Michael Grenier. Spinning around is the Ferrari. He clips the back of the Audi ahead, and then as Maro Engel comes back past him, and the spinning Ferrari then just glances his right rear tyre. So he almost got away with that. I can see David Schumacher going slowly in front of me as well, and this is why. Is that Rennie Rast off in the gravel trap? Yes, it is. Down to 26th place. He's gone on the timing screen, and Rennie Rast, who had a pretty torrid race yesterday. I mean, he got some points, but it was a rough old race. That's a front left puncture for David Schumacher. So he's just gone past the commentary box window not long ago. So he's only just got to turn 1 now, Luck. And he's got a long lap here to try and get the car back to the pits if he can. Contact yesterday with Dev Gore. Dev got a penalty for it. So Schumacher luckless so far this weekend. But this was Schumacher trying to get up the inside of Rast, and Rast will not be happy about that. It's a pretty similar incident to the decisive move for the lead of the race yesterday between Bortolotti and Fraga, really. It's the same kind of thing. So Schumacher going for the move, not coming off. He's furious. Well, pretty sure that Rennie Rast will be too. And both of them out of the race. So safety car deployed. David Schumacher walks back. Another weekend that promised much on Friday. Rennie Rast hops over the barriers. And remember, Rennie 3rd in the championship. And this has not turned into a great weekend. He was the one driver in the top 8 that scored points in both races at the hectic Norris Ring events a few weeks ago. And 2 podium finishes, so he was the one catching up the championship leaders, but only a 9th place finish. And for Sheldon Van Der Linde on course, what will be his 2nd double of the year. He got a double victory at Ring, and he won yesterday here. So here's some replays. Schumacher just ahead. He's on board with Felipe Fraga, I think, in the Ferrari. And that's him having a look at the inside, but not getting fully alongside René Rast. As René turned in, there was the contact, and the Michelin tyre is now completely devoid of the car, and having gone through the gravel trap, lots of gravel being flung back onto the circuit as well, which is going to make life a little bit sketchy for everybody else when they get back up to speed. Obviously 3 wheels on the car, effectively, and understeering on his way into the turn. And that the reaction of David Schumacher, more frustration for him. But the results, I'm pretty sure, are going to come because the speed is getting there all the time. And there is the 3-time champion, René Rast, a multiple race winner here at the Nürburgring. And also Maro Engel out. All of that happening, really, within a few seconds of each other. It's his 37th birthday yesterday, Maro Engel, and it's not been a great deal of joy this weekend for him, I'm afraid. Topped off by the fact he got a chocolate cake in the face from Maximilian Gotz on the grid yesterday's birthday cake, while everybody were kicking their heels. Right, not that it's really worth anything, but Maro Engel's got a 5-second time penalty for causing a collision. Well, he's out of the race anyway, and David Schumacher's got a time penalty as well, 5 seconds for causing a penalty, but he's effectively out of the race. Or he's going to be a long way back, and if he gets back to the pits and manages to get back out there, he's going to be laps and laps down. Right, the pit window is close to being opened. So we've got a couple coming in to the pits now. Nick Cassidy, let's see, is one of them. And there, at the last corner, René Rast, he's being... Well, his car, he's out of the car now, but his car is being hoisted up. And Cassidy and Gore, the 2 coming in.
1 pit open now.
Right, timed. So they've come crawling in, these 2.
Go now.
The pit window only opened a few seconds ago, and they were going so slowly to make sure they didn't cross the white line on the entrance to the pits before the window opened. Smart thinking from Ferrari. Smart thinking from Abt Sportsline team, the Rosberg team, because Dev Gore, who's benefited from clever strategy already this year to get a podium in Italy, he's going to be behind Nick Cassidy, but both of them are the first to pit. Everybody else is stuck behind the safety car, and that's a good move. Right, let's get some news down in the pits with Verena.
And I'm here with Maro Engel. And Maro, let's just find out what happened. Why did your race end?
Yeah, it was a puncture on the rear right, and unfortunately the tire completely delaminated and started smashing up parts of the car. So unfortunately we couldn't continue. But the few individuals driving extremely hard in the field there again, with a lot of unnecessary contact.
So very unfortunate. Obviously, a birthday weekend you didn't wish for like this.
Yeah, pretty bad weekend in terms of racing. So we'll go home and regroup and come back stronger next time.
All right, thank you very much, Maro. Back to you.
Thanks very much. Right, with the pit window open, almost, but not quite, everybody has come in then, because obviously you lose less time to everybody else if there's a safety car making everybody crawl around anyway. So this is going to be hectic. But remember, 2 have already made their pit stop, and it looked like Philip Eng and Laurens van der Finischen, Arjun Maini, Esteban Moot, Ricardo Feller, and a couple of others have opted to stay out, which is a slightly strange decision. Right, Lucas Stoltz gets out quickly, and he's ahead, like, of Dennis Olsen. Kelvin van der Linde at the back of that queue. Prining's lost a few positions to them. And I think Lucas Stoltz has got out ahead of Sheldon Van Der Linde to be the first to get out of the pits in that huge group that came in. So the race leader dropping behind, I reckon, Lucas Stoltz. The 2 that opted to crawl around the last corner and dive for the pits just as the window opened are going to be at the back of that train. It hasn't worked for them. Nick Cassidy and, of course, Dev Gore's a long way down anyway, because a number of laps down, or a lap or so down anyway, because of his problem stopping on track earlier. So I can see what they're doing. It was quite clever stuff, but it hasn't advantaged them because everybody else has been able to pit behind the safety car as well, even though it's at a different time. There was about 15 seconds left on the clock before the pit window opened when they were coming out of the last corner, so they almost stopped to get to the pit line It's only when you cross the white line at the pit lane entrance that it starts to count as a pit stop. Right, this is the train that hasn't been in. Now, you can bring both your cars in the pits at the same time, but you can't put them in the box at the same time. So Schubert have had to make a decision of, do we bring one in and make the other go round again, or do we bring them both in and it's going to be hectic and one has to sort of sit and queue, and there's not really an option for them. So Enger's had to come in now with Van Toor, Ineschen, Miney, Moot, Feller, Uverhaus and De Lede. Luca Stoltz, as I say, of the group that came in and made their stops, got out first ahead of Sheldon Van Der Linde. So Luca could be the race leader here, with Sheldon second, Dennis Olsen third, Luca Sauer fourth, Kelvin Van Der Linde and Marco Vittman fifth and sixth of the group that came out, Preining losing out in all of that. Bortolotti might gain some places here as well. And they're going to drop to the back of the field here, unsurprisingly, because they've had to spend a lap very slowly behind the safety car. Everybody else, of course, can now go a bit quicker to catch the safety car back up. And that first group, that first main group that came into the pits have already gone through turns 2, 3 and 4. Ricardo Feller making sure he just about gets out ahead of Esteban Moot, but staying behind the safety car for another lap was not the right thing to do, because they all dropped way down the order, and Laurens Van Toor will be absolutely distraught. They all will be, but Laurens Van Toor back in 23rd place is going to be now. But Uverhaus, look, got out at the head of the group, so he is behind the course car. About that, so it did work for him. They must have had a really good stop as well, Valkenhurst. So he got ahead of Stoltz, who'd pitted the lap before. So Theo Uverhaus, starting last on the grid, now leads the race. But hang on, no, he didn't go in. He stayed out, so we didn't catch him coming through the pits. And according to the timing screen, he's the one that hasn't been in. So he leads the race, but he's got to go into the pit still. Safety car's coming in on this lap as well, so he can have some time at the front of the field. And I guess the best thing for him to do now is try something different and stay out to the end of the race. Try something completely the opposite of the others. But Uverhaus is in the lead. Stoltz is trying to draw alongside him, ready for the 2x2 start. And it's not up to the pace sitter, the pole sitter effectively on this restart to judge when to go. It's still based on the lights, and some of the drivers further back in the pack this year have been saying it's hard to see the lights when you're 14th, 15th, 16th on the grid. So they have to wait for the race director to say when things are going to get back underway. But a nice moment this for Theo Uverhaus, leading in DTM, but it might only be for a couple of seconds, because Lucas Stoltz, who's got his pit stop out of the way, he's coming at him now in the Mercedes and trying to go around the outside of the BMW. Look at the Porsche of Dennis Olsen, trying to come around the outside, and to the inside line for once goes Lucas Sauer, 3 abreast here. Lucas Stoltz almost off the track as he gets the inside line now for the left-hander and goes through and into the lead of the race. Dennis Olsen is going to follow him. Theo Uverhaus is forced out wide offline. Remember, this is only his second DTM race, and yeah, he's way out wide now and might have damage to the car, possibly. He's still got to make a pit stop anyway, but at least he can say he led a DTM race, even if it was very briefly. So Lucas Stoltz and the HRT team with that excellent stop here. Fantastic battle going on further back. Contact there, which involves Philipp Eng, who was running second before all of that. He's had some contact there with Clement Schmidt's Lamborghini, and he's on the grass and I think about to park up. And Philipp out of the race as well, is he? Or is he just trying to find a way back through? No, I think he's too much damage. He's out of the race as Marco Vittman goes all through the gravel trap here and loses half a dozen places more than, drops in behind Ricardo Feller. I think he's going to slot in, maybe behind Laurens Van Toor. Catch your breath. This is a crazy race again, a bit like yesterday, but amplified by about 3. All sorts going on here as Tommy Preining cuts the chicane to try and get through there without contact. Others make contact in the middle of the field, and Theo Uverhaus in the middle of the whole lot of it somewhere, trying to just survive the lap. Well, Lucas Stoltz then leading, been on the podium already in his first full season of the championship. Can he get a victory? He leads. Olsen is second. Auer is third. Kelvin Van Der Linde is fourth. Mirko Bortolotti is fifth. Maximilian Gutz is sixth. Tommy Preining seventh. Nico Müller eighth. And Sheldon Van Der Linde has dropped back to 9th place for now, but it might not be for long. He's on the attack here, and although he's actually on the defence, because trying to come past him was Michael Grenier's Mercedes. 9th and 10th they are. Grenier is still just ahead, so still battling away the pair of them as they come out through to turn 4. Sheldon Van Der Linde back into 10th place now. Double waved yellows on the way down to turn 5, which will be where we lost Philipp Eng and Clement Schmidt last time through. So huge disappointment for Philipp Eng after a race that was going very well indeed. will be ruining that safety car, because that then triggered everybody being bunched together, him losing places and him getting involved in a battle. Nieuwenhuis, having led the restart, was 13th at the end of that restart lap, but still to make his pit stop is the only one that hasn't been in. So Lukas Stoltz leads by just about 1.5 seconds. Dennis Olsen through the first sector lost 0.3 and 0.2 through the second sector, so the gap is growing. Lucas Auer in third. Not particularly happy with the pace of the car in parts of the race yesterday, but it's a different track today. Lots of varying grip levels. So this has turned on its head in terms of the championship as well, remember, because it was a case that before the pit stop, Sheldon Van Der Linde was leading the race, extending his championship lead, all looking good, but now he's behind Mirko Bortolotti, who's in 5th place and looking to outscore him. Theo Uverhaus. Underneath him goes the second of the SSR Performance Porsches of Laurens Vanthoor. So Vanthoor on the attack, not for the first time. He's gained 60-odd places in races this season. So that pushes him up one more position now into 13th place. The Ferrari of Felipe Fraga is 12th. Marius Zerg's going well again. The youngster in the Attempto Racing Audi is 11th at the moment. That was the onboard from Felipe Fraga, having a real battle out there at the moment from 16th on the grid. His teammate Nick Cassidy is 18th, having started 19th. Philippe Enger's just come into the pits, probably to retire from the race, I'm afraid. So live championship standing, Sheldon Van Der Linde only on course for 1 point, 109. The gap would come down to 10 points. We started the race with 19 points between them. So halving the gap as it stands. A long, long way to go. And both still make up more places, more points, of course, in this race. And now moving up as well with Rast out of the race, not scoring any points. Potentially dropping out of third. And Philippe Eng, who's a really nice, calm guy when you speak to him, but you can see he is absolutely fuming at being put out of the race. A chance of a victory, a chance of a podium, at least I would have thought, has just been taken away there, and you can understand his huge, huge frustration. Massive disappointment for the team as well. Schubert Motorsport, who lead the team's championship, hoping for a 1-2 finish there at 1 point. Right, that's Ricardo Vella and Max Buch trying to find a way past Theo Uverhaus at the moment. Theo, though, despite his lack of experience in these types of cars, holding his own. Like some very quick drivers. Lost out on that restart lap, but his pace has been good, not far away from the real front runners. He's been very impressive. Busy, busy afternoon in the end for him yesterday after hours of waiting around. Well, busy evening anyway. Had to go more or less straight out of the DTM, straight to the DTM trophy race just a few minutes later. Dual campaigning because he's third in that championship, Theo, the young German. Went out, raced and got some points in that one as well. But it must have been really tough. He knew he had to do both, but he didn't think the gap between the end of one race and the start of the next would be quite as tight as it was, due to the delays and several of the support races running after DTM well into the night yesterday. Almost dark when they finished the last race of the day. Oh, Stoltz is looking good, isn't he? He's 2 seconds clear now of Olsen. Still not yet at half distance in the race. Auer in third. Replay, right. Let's try and piece together this. This is where the bulk of the drivers came in to make their stop behind the safety car. And we saw Stoltz getting away ahead of most people. But off camera is Sheldon Van Der Linde. And it's only when we saw them back on track, we saw they'd switched around. And that's how tight it was from that camera angle. So, blimey, it couldn't have been closer, could it? And then Sheldon ended up dropping back during the course of that run behind the safety car on the restart lap as well. And he's still in 10th place. So Lukas Stoltz, who's had 2 second-place finishes this year, the quiet German, the second spot in the opening race of the season at Portimao, third race of the season at the Lausitzring, he was second as well. And he's had mixed results since then. 7th and an 8th being his best results at the Norrisring since those podium finishes. Mirko Bortolotti then on the attack with Kelvin Van Der Linde just ahead. Kelvin can do his brother a bit of a favour here by holding up Bortolotti and trying to stop the driver that's closest to his brother in the championship picking up any more points. So Bortolotti at the moment in 5th place. He's going to pick up 10 points to the 1 point of Sheldon Van Der Linde if he stays back in 10th position. Fastest lap of the race has just gone to Lukas Stoltz as well, so he's on course for the Auto Hero fastest lap point. but he's stretching away bit by bit. 2.2 seconds clear now, as you can see from the graphic. Over the last couple of laps, it's gone out from 1.8 to 2.3 seconds. Here's Thomas Preining going on the attack. He lost out a bit during that pit window as well. Nico Muller is just ahead of him. This is the battle for 7th place. He goes left, he goes right. The gap is covered off. Muller uses all of his experience. The two-time DTM Championship runner-up, staying just ahead on the way into turn 2. And Michael Grenier, the Canadian, look, in the Mercedes, coming after the pair of them as well. The orange and blue Grupper M Racing car having a good race today. It's been quick all weekend, but things have gone against him. And then just at the back of that group, look, is the championship leader, number 31, Sheldon Van Der Linde. Real battling performance. The other thing you have to remember, of course, is that he's carrying success ballast. The top 3 carried ballast into the next race, and as the winner yesterday, there's an extra 25 kilograms on board for Sheldon, which didn't really show at the start of the race, but I think it's probably bogged him down during that restart, where everybody was on top of him. Finishing second yesterday, Kelvin van der Linde also has success ballast, 15 kilograms on board for him. Ricardo Feller finished third, carries 5 kilograms of ballast into this race. None of them have to carry it in qualifying, but it might just be hurting him in the race. It's more weight on the car to try and slow down. That small weight on the car is heavier on the brakes, it's heavier on the tyres. It's harder to accelerate the car out of the corners. And when, like in practice on Friday, you've only got 7/10 of a second between 26 drivers, that weight and the fractions of a second difference that it makes make a huge difference. Right, car 37, 10-second time penalty for driving unnecessarily slowly. That is the Ferrari of Nick Cassidy, and the tactic to try and make sure he got just into the pit line just as the pit window opened. Super slow-mo replay of some side-by-side action here with Marco Vittman on a charge, but running out of room here. That was Mario Sugg in the 66 car. He's dropped a few positions in the last few laps. He was up to 11th. He's down to 14th place now. Another young driver from Bavaria, just 19 years of age, Mario Sugg, and knocking on the door of points. The gap between Kelvin van der Linde and Mirko Bortolotti just under 0.4 of a second. Just in the mirrors, you've got the pink number 1 Mercedes of Maximilian Götz, racing for Team Winwood these days, which is another local team, not quite as close to as HRT, who are literally just outside the circuit. So the team that run your race leader in the yellow Mercedes, Lucas Stoltz, Hubert Houtz, the team boss, a pretty handy racing driver himself. And we're racing in recent years as well, as guest driver in DTM, and races still in the big races like the Nürburgring 24 hours. But he's from Munich, but the team is based here at the Nürburgring, the business park, about 3 kilometres from the paddock. So they're the real local team, but Team Winwood, we count this as their home race as well. And Lucas Auer at the moment is third. Maximilian Götz is in the top 10 in the points as well. Just feigning a move up the inside there was Mirko Bortolotti. Last time he did that was yesterday, 1 lap before the incident into that final corner. He had a luck, and then he went for the move the lap after that. But is he going to be quite as attacking today? But if you don't ever take a risk, you can't ever overtake anybody, can you? It's always a risk. You've got to lunge, you've got to brake later, you've got to take a different line, you've got to hope that you get there, that the grip is available. And it didn't work yesterday, but he has had lots of moves this year that really have worked. Bortolotti putting it behind him. Going well from 9th on the grid up to 5th place. Sheldon Van Der Linde, I think, struggling with that weight of the car, although he's just done a personal best first sector, which is half the lap. But he is still losing time to Grenier and Preining just ahead of him, and Muller, who are in that battle, the 3 of them, for 7th place. Into the chicane they come. Kelvin van der Linde, Mirko Bortolotti and Maximilian Götz in 4th, 5th and 6th positions. Nico Muller in the red and silver Team Rosberg Audi a little bit off them in 7th, with Preining, Grenier and Sheldon Van Der Linde still in his mirrors, but not quite as closely in his mirrors this time through. Incident involving Felipe Fraga under investigation, and it was an incident with Clement Schmidt, who's out of the race. We've lost Philipp Eng, Clement Schmidt, David Schumacher, Maro Engel and René Rast from this race so far. 23 cars still running. Fastest lap belonging to Lucas Stoltz. And Mirko Bortolotti again looks quicker through this first sequence of corners. To remind you, the live championship standings, 10 points there would be between Van Der Linde and Bortolotti if it stays like this. Lucas Auer would move up ahead of René Rast and into third place in the championship standings. With another solid run here, Lugi. A young Austrian driver, still young, he's been around a while, but still only in his 20s, 27 years of age. The man from St. Johann, who's on his 118th race start in DTM. One of the more experienced DTM racers in the current field, with all the changes of all the new drivers that we've had coming in recent years. The most experienced driver of the current crop in terms of race starts is Marco Vittman, who's on his 156th race start now, just coming through shot. Nico Muller's on his 146th, and it's Lucas Auer on his 118th, who's the third most experienced DTM driver in the current field. Bernd Schneider with the most starts overall ever, with 236, a long, long way ahead of all of them still. Right, on board with Sheldon Van Der Linde, the championship leader. There might just be a case of damage limitation here. Get a few points out of the race. Not the dream result of yesterday, after the dream qualifying this morning. Scuppered really by that safety car, bringing everybody onto his tail. But if you can get a win, get a few points in race 2 with ballast on board, it's not too bad at all. And Kelvin still doing a massive favour here to his younger brother. He's racing for himself, of course, but I'm betting his mind he's thinking, oh, I might just try even harder to keep Mirko Bortolotti behind me, because that's not just going to help me and the team out, it's also going to help out my brother. Because if Mirko finishes in 5th place, it's 10 points. 2 more points if he can get ahead of Kelvin and into 4th. And make no bounds about it, Kelvin Van Der Linde is a fighter. He will not have given up on this championship title yet. Seen so many twists and turns already this season. There could be plenty more still to come at Spa next time out in 2 weeks' time, at the Red Bull Ring after that in September, and the season finale at Hockenheim. It's going to go right down to the wire this championship season. Well, Lukas Stoltz, the race leader, has extended his advantage to 3.5 seconds now. Did a 1:27.0 last time round, a 1:27.2 for Dennis Olsen in second, and a 1:27.3 for Lucas Auer in third place. The gap's growing. Max Buch trying to find a way through here on Marius Zug there, 14th and 15th respectively. But there is your race leader, Lukas Stoltz, who made his debut in the DTM here at Nürburgring last year as a stand-in driver, and was impressive right from the word go. He's got plenty of GT experience, so it wasn't a surprise to see him hit the ground running, Lukas Stoltz. Another driver that seems to have been around for a long time, but he's only in his 20s, as the pit stop analysis showing how Lukas Stoltz and the team benefited from a quicker stop there. He's from Kirchen in Germany. He's been a regular in the ADAC GT Masters Championship for the last 7 or 8 years. 2 guest races in DTM here at the Nürburgring with the Top Sport WRT team in a Mercedes last year. In the last couple of seasons, he's finished 3rd in the GT Masters Championship, runner-up in Blancpain in 2019, and a champion in Blancpain in the Sprint Series in 2018. Former Porsche Carrera Cup racer as well. So he's the race leader. Still, we've got this battle going on for 4th place between the black and white Audi of Kelvin Van Der Linde, run by Abt Sportsline, and the Grasser Racing Team Lamborghini of Mirko Bortolotti. Lamborghini still yet without a race victory in DTM. Mirko Bortolotti likewise. But he has had this uber consistency up until of late. Yesterday, no points scored. One of the races at the Norris Ring after failing to present himself for weigh-in after qualifying. He got put to the back of the grid, tried to fight his way through and couldn't, so didn't score any points in one of the races there either. Up until that point, he'd been Mr. Consistent. Time penalty then for Felipe Fraga for causing a collision. That was the incident that was being looked at by the officials, which also involved Clement Schmidt, who's out of the race now as well. And Ricardo Feller comes into the pits, and it's for a 2nd time. He's already made his mandatory stop, so I fear a retirement for one of the drivers that was on the podium yesterday, Ricardo Feller, in the blue number 7 Abt Sportsline Audi. He's just gone down the pit lane in front of the commentary box. So it could be another retiree. Yes, there he is, just pulled into the garage, I'm afraid. Good day yesterday. Actually, could have been higher. He was ahead of Kelvin Van Der Linde when they went into the scene of that incident at the last corner, and then got delayed. I think got passed coming into turn 1 by Kelvin while we were all looking at the accident. Good battle going on here with Esteban Moot just ahead of Nick Cassidy, still holding him off for 16th place, but Nick got pretty close to him. Theo Uverhaus is in that battle as well, getting stuck in. Raw finish and goes way out wide, the former multiple class champion in the Porsche Carrera Cup of Germany. He can't find a way through. Narja Miney's in the mix there as well in the blue and white Paul-sponsored Mercedes. Swings back to the inside, and the Indian driver with a nice move dives down the inside of the German Theo Uverhaus. Bodywork hanging off the back of the number 19 Lamborghini of Rolf Innerschön. He goes to the inside of Theo Uverhaus now, and tidily done. Good move that from Rolf, who's been building up his GT experience and his endurance racing experience over the last 4 or 5 years. And Uverhaus, having had to get off the racing line, slow to accelerate onto the start-finish straight, is going to be passed, I think, into turn 1 now, as well, lose another place here to Alessio De Leda, and the Lamborghini goes through as well. So Uverhaus battling, getting stuck in, but the extra experience just telling there. There's a replay of Cassidy running out wide, and then a replay of Innerschön running out wide as well. It's been an entertaining battle a bit further down the order. So 5-second time penalty to be added to Felipe Fraga, who's outside the points anyway at the moment in 11th place. Lukas Stoltz leads, Dennis Olsen second, Lucas Auer third, Kelvin Van Der Linde fourth, Mirko Bortolotti fifth, Maximilian Gutz in sixth. That'll be his 4th consecutive top 6 finish after a tricky start to his title defence. Nico Müller in 7th, Tommy Preining 8th, Nico Grenier still 9th ahead of Sheldon Van Der Linde in 10th place. Felipe Fraga is 11th, but with a 5-second penalty to add on to his time, which would promote a couple of behind him upper place as well, including Marco Vittman, who's 12th at the moment, and Lawrence Ventura has fought his way back to 13th place now. And Dennis Olsen is 4.2 seconds adrift of Lukas Stoltz. He can't match the pace of the German in the Mercedes HRT, on course for a famous home victory here, and it's all about this battle for 4th place. And the longer it goes on, the more that Kelvin Van Der Linde is going to be able to fend off Mirko Bortolotti, because he knows where the attacks will come from. He knows where the Lamborghini might be a bit quicker and where he needs to be a bit more defensive. Some super slow-mos here. This is when they're all bunched together. Great shot of this huge field that we've got this year. 28 cars on the grid for this race this weekend. The curbs take a pounding, but the bottom of the cars even more so. They run over the curbs through that chicane. They have to make an attempt to go through the chicane, but they certainly ride those curbs, try and straight line the left-right flick as much as they can. But it can damage the cars. Dennis Olsen only 1.5 seconds clear of Lucas Auer. Keep an eye on that gap from 2nd to 3rd. This lap has been a slightly better one, I think, for Kelvin Van Der Linde. He's just a fraction further clear of the Lamborghini than he was, not much. Manuel Reuter, team manager, ex-DTM Race, ex-ITR champion, who was a runner-up in the year 2000, which was the first season DTM came to the Nürburgring, and won a couple of races here that season. Bortolotti closes, looks at the inside. Kelvin Van Der Linde, good enough, late enough on the brakes to be able to keep him at bay. Takes it wide out of the corner, but the Audi still in control here of this 4th place. So last lap around, a 1:27.635 for Olsen in 2nd, 1:27.600 for Lucas Auer. So the gap's come down a little bit, but only by 35 thousandths of a second, as Theo Uverhaus is coming to the pits, I can see out of the window. So he's finally going to make his mandatory pit stop. And we'll slip back a little bit further down the field, but gaining good experience. Pace has been good, given his lack of experience in these cars. I think he's done a good job, the 17-year-old, and he'll be pretty pleased about it. Probably just pleased he got to race yesterday after he, like everybody else, had to wait so long for the fog to clear. But Uverhaus back out now. Trouble-free pit stop from Volkenhorst. He's really held his own. I think we'll see a lot more of him in the future. Good luck to him in his DTM Trophy campaign, in which he's a real front-runner, already a race winner in his first season of DTM Trophy, designed as a stepping stone into DTM, and it's good to see the first of those drivers coming through. Maybe we'll see more of Theo in DTM next year, maybe even later in this season, but I think he's probably going to concentrate his efforts on trying to win the DTM trophy or finish as high up as he can at the moment. Third in the standings coming into the weekend. So Uverhaus the last to make his pit stop. Bortolotti still trying to close up to the tail of Van Der Linde, and it's succeeding, but he's a bit too far back coming out of the last corner. He catches up on the straight, he catches up under braking, but he sort of gets back what he loses coming out of the last turn. The Audi just gets better traction, better acceleration coming out of the final turn. Bortolotti maybe slightly quicker, but not at the right points of the circuit. Maximilian Gutz just behind as well, there to pounce if anything happens, but he's a little bit slower than this pair, a couple of tenths off their pace on the last lap. Bortolotti, I think, he's got to be thinking in the back of his mind, steady, Mirko, don't make any lunges, not after what happened yesterday. I can't do it twice in one weekend. So I'm sure that's in the back of his mind as well. And Calvin will know that, and they'll play to that. But Mirko goes left, goes right. The former Blancpain champion goes left, goes right again, weaving in the mirrors, trying to distract Kelvin van der Linde, but Kelvin knows this place like the back of his hand, and he's not going to be one for being put off by a weaving car or flashing headlights in the mirrors. And the gap, 0.4 of a second at this stage. See what it is when they cross the line, but not going to be much between them, is there, when they get to turn 1 again? And again, a different line, just showing his nose. Mirko Bortolotti trying to make Kelvin van der Linde defend. I think he's trying to make him cover the inside line, which would make him go deep into the corner and then try and get him on the way out, but it's not working. Kelvin van der Linde is equal to it. High-speed game of chess going on between the pair of them. Van der Linde having a good run here. Nick Cassidy coming into the pits, and Dev Gore recovering from a spin, lights up the rear tyres. Chat with the team principal, Kimmo Limitainen at Rosberg earlier in the weekend. And he'd been impressed with the way Dev Gore, he said he's not there yet, but he's really made a big step forward since last year. He's not got many years car racing or even kart racing experience, Dev. It's the first year he's had a second consecutive year in the same championship, and he said that was always the plan. He's had lots of support from the family and his backers, and it's really starting to show now. He got that podium finish at Imola, and he's been much, much closer to the pace, but not a good race for him, I'm afraid, here. And he comes into the pits after that spin, and said Nick Cassidy was coming down the pit lane. It was into retirement, I'm afraid. So lots of cars, lots of drivers dropping out of this race. Just under 15 minutes plus 1 lap to go. Let's head back to Verena in the pit lane.
And I managed to grab René Rast. René, bad day for you. Didn't finish the race. What happened? Talk us through it.
I got hit from Schumacher. First time he hit me in the chicane. Then I had a bad exit. And then again, he tried to pass me, hit me again in the rear. Spun me in the gravel. Unacceptable. Driving standards this year in DTM are unacceptable. They drive like little kids. They have no experience, and it's really no fun to drive anymore. They don't behave, I think some of them have to go back to the support series, get some experience, and then can come back to DTM. But like that, it's no fun to race anymore.
We tried to grab a hold of David, but he didn't want to speak with us just a few minutes ago. Do you think it's going to have a consequence?
I hope so. I mean, not only for him, for many other drivers. You cannot race anymore. It's just a gamble. Some of them leave you space, some others not. You cannot go side by side to the corner anymore. They push you in the grass, they hit you in the back, they spin you around. It's just a gamble, and for sure we have to do something against that.
All right, thank you very much, René. Back to you.
Thanks very much indeed, Verena. Yeah, very frustrated René Rast. You don't see him like that very often, do you? But he has had a really torrid weekend. I mean, Nico Muller was pretty miffed with René yesterday, but René also was involved in other tangles, not necessarily of his doing, but he just found himself in all these battles, and he said, I've never got hit so much, I never had so much contact in one race. So he's a bit frustrated yesterday, but he's really frustrated. It's brimmed over for him now. So strong words about the driving standards there from the three-time champion. Of course, going for a 4th championship title this weekend has really put him on the back foot now, with only a couple of points scored yesterday with that 9th place finish, and no points scored today as Mirko Bortolotti continues to shadow Kelvin van der Linde on the track. We'll head back to the pit lane.
Right, so sorry. So we've got Ricardo Feller here. And Ricardo, what happened to you? You had a technical problem?
Yeah, we had some brake problems from the beginning. They were getting worse, and on this position we said we don't gonna risk to destroy other cars' race, so we decided to stop.
All right, and I just saw you talking with René. I guess there was a lot of furious vibes in the box earlier because of the way things are happening in the race. Did you also get a feeling for that?
Yeah, definitely. I think the driving standards are very low. I also took out one car, which was not on purpose, so sorry for that. I think, yeah, we lost quite some professionality in terms of fighting, because at the moment it's just like bumping cars away, and it's not fair side-by-side racing, which we normally would like to have.
All right, Ricardo, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Back to you.
Thanks very much indeed. Frustrated Ricardo Feller as well. And, well, you know, of course, there are one or two young drivers in this field that are building up their experience, but it is, by and large, a very, very experienced field of drivers. And maybe the fact that it is such a tight championship, that the times are so evenly matched, that nobody has really been able to find any consistency this year. Maybe that is contributing to the fact that, you know, people are trying maybe a bit harder with these overtakes and these moves to get their elbows out to try and fight their way through. But I think you can really say it's because it's an inexperienced field, because most of them are very, very experienced behind the wheel of these types of cars. But frustrations boiling over, and a real shame for both René and Ricardo. Ricardo, a great day yesterday for him in that third place finish. But not to be today, I'm afraid. That's been the tale for many drivers this year, hasn't it? One good race and one bad race over the course of a weekend. Just a word for Theo Uverhaus, because last time around he set his best lap of the race, a 1:27.715. I know he's just put new tyres on, but he was the fourth quickest driver on that lap. Only a few of them in that lead group were quicker than him, so well done, Theo. Plenty of pace back in 20th, and we can go and find what's happened to another of our drivers now down with Farina.
I've got Nick Cassidy here, and it seems like it's a bit of a jungle out there today. And also the race ended for you way too soon. What happened with you?
Yeah, it ended too soon, but in the end I wish it finished sooner. It was painful. I got hit by the Pink Panther at the start. It was about lap 5, I think, and then obviously went round. I saw it was on TV. And yeah, from then our race was done. I mean, the championship you get 3 sets of tires. To finish yesterday's race, you have to use 2, and it means obviously the top 10 from yesterday are in a difficult position today. And so yeah, we used our good set to start the race, and obviously then had to go on to a set that was very used, and the race was very pretty much over.
You were also watching the race just now. What do you think of the race? How it's going on at the moment?
No, not really watching the race. Just talking to the guys about a few rules and a few things that could be a bit better that are outside of our control.
All right, thank you very much, Nick.
Thanks.
Back to you.
Thanks very much, Marina. Yeah, disappointment after, again, a pretty good day yesterday for Nick Cassidy. Not a good Sunday. And, yeah, maybe referring that in terms of the rules to that fact that he tried to, and the team tried to be clever at using the rules to go very slowly to get himself just in time as the pit window opened to the pit lane entrance, but then getting a penalty as a result of driving unnecessarily slowly on track. So a day to forget, I'm afraid, for Nick Cassidy, struggling with the car and the tyres, as he said, in that race as well. And Lucas Stoltz, meanwhile, almost 6 seconds clear at the head of the field. 9 minutes to go. The race distance extended by 2 laps. It's a 55-minute plus 1 lap race, but if there are 1 or 2 laps behind the safety car or more, you can extend the race distance by up to a maximum of 2 laps. So it'll be a 55-minute plus 3 lap race now. And only 9 minutes left on the clock. This is a replay of the incident that upset René Rast so much. Said that, although we didn't see it on camera, David Schumacher had made contact with him at the previous corner of the chicane. And there, Nick Cassidy, yeah, that was the incident he was talking about. Got involved with Maro Engel, which put Maro Engel out of the race first of all, and there the incident which saw, unfortunately, the exit for Philippe Eng, who'd been having a good day up until that point in the BMW, and Clement Schmidt in the Lamborghini. Spin for Dev Gore, who'd had car trouble earlier in the race and stopped on track, but got it going again before the safety car had to be deployed. So a bit of a race of attrition. 20 cars remain, and Lucas Stoltz looks in the mirrors and sees nothing because he's miles in front here. It's been a really impressive drive, and it's kind of been coming this for Lucas Stoltz. He's one of those drivers that just goes under the radar a little bit, really. He might have the brightest livery on the track, but he's really quietly spoken. He's really unassuming. You get the sense there's absolutely zero ego with him. And he just quietly goes about his business, and he gets good results, and he's been on the podium, and he's been quick all weekend long. And here he is, potentially about to join the ranks of DTM race winners. Back to Verena now, who's got somebody else to speak to down in the pit lane.
Well, it certainly is a crazy race. We lost 8 cars so far, and one of the cars who also didn't make the race, Dev Gore. What happened with you?
Well, as everyone saw, it was quite a chaotic race and quite a lot of bouncing around and a lot of contacts. And quite early on, we bent something in the car, and basically after everything, we tried to continue going. The car stalled on me after a contact and a spin. And once we got going again, we tried to just push as much as we could, but finally over the curb, something broke. And that was the end of the day for us.
So a lot of the drivers are talking about the rules and the regulations, and the vibes are pretty bad in regards to some driving. What's your thought on that?
Yeah, I think, to be honest, it's just driving standards. I mean, we like DTM because you can race hard and you can have contact, but people are getting a bit too carried away. And everyone wants to go for a position, so you cannot think that it's malintent or that they're doing it on purpose, but at some point you need to be realistic with the opportunities you take, and some drivers are just not.
All right. Thank you for the clear words. Thank you, Dev. Back to you.
Thanks very much, Dev. Yeah, so continuing that theme, really. Dev started to pick up a German accent. He lives over here in Germany, the American. He lived in Milton Keynes for a while, but very clearly making his point there. And unfortunate for Dev, he's made huge strides forward this year. Been really impressed with the way he's come on in his second season of DTM, having had really zero prior experience of racing these types of cars. As Bortolotti has a big stare at the inside of Van Der Linde this time, closer than he's ever been on the way into turn 1, with 5 minutes and 40 seconds left on the clock, plus those 3 laps at the end of the time as well. Is he going to gamble? Is he going to go for the move? Best he can hope for is a 4th place finish rather than a 5th. Is it worth the gamble for an extra 2 points, or do you bank the 10 points he's going to get for 5th place here? Because if he gets past Kelvin Van Der Linde, unless something happens drastically up front, he's not going to get any more places. The top 3 are long since gone. So is it worth the risk? It might be a different story if the first 3 cars were just ahead and you think, well, maybe I can win this race or get a podium out of it at least. But is it worth the risk for 2 more points? Yesterday, he took the risk. He lost potentially 19 points, potentially more, because he was at the time on for 18 points in 2nd place. He was on course. Well, he got the fastest lap of the race, but you only get to keep the points, the bonus points, if you are in the top 10. And then, having been 3rd, his closest championship rival, Sheldon Van Der Linde, drove past the incident, went from 3rd to 1st, and scored an extra 10 points, 25 instead of 15. So is he going to take the risk? He'll have to put it out of his mind to a point, but you also, at this stage and in his position, got to start thinking about points. And he's already outscoring Sheldon Van Der Linde here, remember, so this is a good result. Yes, he'd love to be 4th if he could, but 5th place from where he started in 9th, and with Van Der Linde behind him, Sheldon that is, behind him, who started on pole position, I think he probably would have taken that at the start of the day, so he might be a bit more circumspect here, the Italian. With now just about 4 minutes left on the clock. Definitely looks the quicker of the 2, though, doesn't he? So is he going to be tempted into a move here? Kelvin Van Der Linde, unable to shake him off at the moment. If a clear opportunity arises, Mirko might just have a go here, but it's going to have to be a clear overtaking opportunity, given what happened to him yesterday. Coming through the gap, which has been hovering between 1/10 and 4/10 of a second, came down to 0.15 there. This is the live gap between them. Our timing system updates regularly, lots of markers all the way through the lap, so it gives you a live gap as Kelvin Van Der Linde pushes the Audi wide, kicks up the dust as he made his way out of the right-hander at Bilstein curve, kicked up the dust, coming out through Advan Bogen, and here looking up the inside on the way into the Vidal chicane is the Lamborghini of Mirko Bortolotti. Coming up to the corner where it all kicked off yesterday, the final corner. He's not close enough to have a look here. And I'm not sure he'll be tempted to have a go at turn 11 either, given the outcome in race 1 yesterday. 3 minutes left on the clock. Very long 3 minutes ahead, I'll suggest, for Kelvin Van Der Linde. Plus another 3 laps at the end of the clock running out. In the background, you can see Maximilian Gutz, 6th place. Bortolotti shows his nose again down the inside at turn 1. Down to first gear here, up to second. They hold second through here, and then they'll be up to third gear as they go through the left and the right at turns 3 and 4. Little downhill dip here, and Bortolotti trying to position the Lamborghini now for the inside line at turn 4. Tempted into a move, almost did it, almost went for it, but Sheldon Van Der Linde just keeps him at bay. But Bortolotti is now thinking, I'm quicker, I'm going to get you somewhere here, I'm going to have a go at it. So he's winding things up, and they're all looking a little bit more stressed. They can't breathe down at the Ab Sportsline garage in this battle for 4th place, which has been raging for half the race now. This is as close as the pair have come. He got on the gas there. He unleashed all the horsepower in the Lamborghini. Bortolotti lit up the rear tyres, drifted through the corner as he unleashed the engine on the 5.2 litre naturally aspirated unit that powers the car along. Thought about it, almost did it, but still he remains behind the Audi. And Sheldon Van Der Linde gets a good run out of the chicane this time as well to just edge slightly clear. His Guts catching them while they battle each other? Not yet. On the last lap, he was a couple of tenths slower. Stoltz, Olsen and Auer at the top 3. Van der Linde and Bortolotti in this battle for 4th. Guts in 6th, Muller 7th, Preining, Grenier and Sheldon Van der Linde round out the points finishers. And again, he's tempted into showing his nose. But Kelvin knows exactly what's coming now every time. There's the big crowd in the grandstand to get this great view of the run down into turn 1, through turns 2, 3 and 4. You're a bit higher in the grandstand, you can see them coming out through turn 5 as well. So you get a great view of much of the circuit from that grandstand section there. Leader's gone through. There's second, there's third. And here's the battle for 4th place then. And Bortolotti will now try and get a good exit from this turn 5 hairpin, get on the traction and close up. If his tyres are in better nick than Sheldon Van der Linde's, he might just be able to close up to him on the rise out through this next right-hander at turn 4. Into Bilstein Curve they go. Watching on in the Lamborghini garage as well, the Grasser Racing team. Gottfried Grasser's team. That huge frustration yesterday, but they know they are still involved in this championship fight. They've still got this star driver in Mirko Bortolotti. They've raced together for years in various championships, won titles together in Blancpain, and some great days together. And the ex-Formula 2 champion has become one of the star GT racers internationally over the last few years. Class winner at Daytona 24-hour, at Sebring as well in the 12-hour race there. The list goes on and on. GT World Challenge, he won at the Nürburgring last year, Mirko Bortolotti. He's not going to get a win this weekend, but can he get 4th place? Look how close he is to the tail and the side almost of the Audi of Sheldon Van der Linde now. Clock is up, so the clock's run out of this lap. 3 laps added on, 3 laps included the next one for Mirko Bortolotti to try and find a way through. Maximilian Gutz on the last lap did a time of 1:28.6. Again, he was a couple of tenths behind them, but they've only got to start fighting each other, and he'll start to reel them in fairly quickly, I think. It's a couple of seconds, 2.5 seconds behind them. But for now, they're free to fight each other. No fighting to be done here for Lukas Stoltz, who's got a... Well, he's done a great job himself, but he's got to thank the team at the end of this race for what must have been an amazing pit stop, really, to get him through and out and into what would have become the lead of the race. Dennis Olsen in 2nd place, still fending off Lucas Auer there in 3rd in the Mercedes, just over 1.5 seconds between them. And here they go through the chicane again, and it's closer than it's been for a couple of laps at this point. Bortolotti needs a good exit here. This is where he's got to stay glued to the Audi to have a stab on the way into turns 1 or 2. And you can tell they're both absolutely on the limit. They flash past me. There's barely a car length between them. Kelvin getting the team radio, but he needs to focus on the battle ahead, because alongside him now comes Mirko Bortolotti, trying the outside line at turn 1. Kelvin deliberately, purposefully lets the Audi drift wide itself to fend off the inside line for turn 2. Clever car positioning that from the South African. Bortolotti looking for the inside line at turn 4 if he can by going the outside here. He's maybe a bit too far back, or is he? Goes for it, goes for the move. There it is, there's contact again, and it's a left rear problem this time for Bortolotti. And he he drags the car back onto the circuit. Maximilian Gotz has gone through.
No worries.
And Muller goes through as well. And oh dear, oh dear.
Box, please.
Box, he's heading for the pits. He's not going to get there potentially. And no points. Would you believe it? He's gone for the move. It hasn't worked. And for the second day running, no points.
2 more laps, you're doing well. The cars behind have the same pace as you.
Here's a replay. He set this up a couple of laps ago. He went for it this time. He got his nose in front, but the contact came this time with the left rear corner of the Lamborghini. Sent it down the inside. He's got alongside, but as he turns in and obviously understeers a bit because he's taken such a tight line, Kelvin is trying to turn into the corner on his line. They're both fighting for the same corner. They didn't fit.
2 more laps, 2 more laps.
Wow. What could have been an amazing weekend for Mirko Bortolotti has turned into an utter nightmare. Went for the move, went for the pass, set it up, but it hasn't worked out for him big time. And Sheldon Van Der Linde, of course, will move up another place, only 9th, but 2 points instead of 1, and no points now for the former championship leader. So 110 it becomes for Sheldon. 89 where he started the weekend for Mirko, 85 per hour, closing up in 3rd. René Rast no points in this race on 81. And Kelvin catching up the pack as well, starting the day 7th in the championship after starting the weekend 13th in the championship. And he's on course to hold on to that 4th place finish, and with it will come 12 championship points to add to the 18 he scored yesterday, his best weekend by a mile of 2022. So there is Lukas Stoltz looking to take his first race victory in DTM. It's going to be his 10th race of the season, his 12th DTM race. Very early days to be able to score your first win. We've already had 2 first-time winners last time out at the Nürburgring, Thomas Preining and Felipe Fraga. Preining at the moment 7th, Fraga, and has now moved into 10th place, but he's got this 5-second time penalty. He's only 2.3 seconds ahead of Marco Vittman. And just behind then, he got Laurens van Teur, so he might not get any points out of this. Replay of the contact. The unhappy Manuel Reuter smashes the wall. You can see what they thought of that. So Lukas Stoltz has had none of this drama, really. His only drama came in that pit stop window, because he had bad luck yesterday. He got clipped going through the final corner of lap 1. And that stuck him to the back of the field, and he didn't score any points yesterday. He's clearly had good pace all weekend long, and he has been uncatchable, hasn't he? The gap's come down a bit, but he's probably nursing the car home now. Lukas Stoltz, 4.6 seconds clear of Dennis Olsen on this final lap of the race. And the German driver comes for one last time up towards the Vidal chicane. Dennis Olsen not really anywhere near him in his mirrors. He's in 2nd place, but well clear of Lucas Ayres, dropped back in 3rd now. Maximilian got quite close to the tail of Kelvin van der Linde in the background, but into the final corner comes the HRT Mercedes. Here comes Lukas Stoltz, who becomes a race winner in the DTM. He crosses the line and wins.
Really great. Fucking good pace. Really, really. Congrats. Good job. Really great. Pick up, fuel safe. Congrats.
Yes, finally. Thanks, team. Amazing pit stop with your guys today. Cheers, that was amazing. Thanks a lot.
There you go. Very understated, isn't he? As I was saying, but what a driver. Lukas Stoltz is a race winner in the DTM. Adds his name to the list of 2022 race winners. We've had 3 wins for Sheldon Van Der Linde, and we've now had 7 other single race winners. So 8 different victors from 10 races this year. Lukas Stoltz with his maiden victory, a day he will always remember. Dennis Olsen with his second place finish in as many weekends, and always one to entertain the crowd. Donuts from Kelvin van der Linde. The Van der Linde brothers have had an amazing weekend, all told. Not quite the result they would have wanted, having locked out the front row of the grid. But Kelvin is back, everybody. A 2nd and a 4th yesterday, and Sheldon is the championship leader, something he wasn't able to say coming into the weekend 3 days ago. And yes, this race didn't quite go according to plan. However, he has again outscored his closest championship rival, Mirko Bortolotti. An absolutely miserable weekend here at the Nürburgring, and one which promised so much. I think he and quite a few people around the paddock thought that first win might be coming this weekend after the pace he showed in practice on Friday, where he was quickest in session 1 and 4th quickest in session 2. And there, the team absolutely delighted at Mercedes-AMG Team HRT. The crowd showing their appreciation for a very good race and an exceptional performance from Luca Stolz. The 40 laps of racing in the end. Comfortable win by 4.5 seconds, and he'll soak it all up now on this slowing down lap. Dennis Olsen and Lucas Auer will join him on the podium. And then in 4th place, Sheldon Van Der Linde. Maximilian Götz with his 4th consecutive top 6 finish. 2 6s at the Nürburgring. 4th yesterday, 5th today. He's back as well. Nico Müller, after a real disappointment yesterday, gets a decent 6th place finish. Thomas Preining 7th. Michael Grenier, Sheldon Van Der Linde and Marco Vittman round out the podium. Fraga finished 10th, but he had that 5-second penalty which pushed him back behind Vittman and Van Toor to 12th place. Mario Suggs 13th, Max Buch 14th, Arjun Maini, Esteban Moot, Alessio De Leda and Rolf Inischen and Theo Uverhaus, the other finishers. And the auto hero fastest lap of the race goes to Luca Stolz. 1 minute 26.927 seconds at the 1/3 race distance. And with that, he'll score a bonus championship point. So 26 points scored for the tall German, even taller now as he stands atop the Mercedes, raises his arms aloft and is applauded by the team. Fantastic drive, absolutely faultless, and the drivers take all the plaudits, don't they? Sometimes they get all the blame, but it's a team sport, this motorsport, and without that team giving him that pit stop and that car, he wouldn't be able to do it. So well done to everybody at HRT as well for an outstanding weekend, and good to see happy times again for Dennis Olsen and SSR Performance. Remember, they're in their first full DTM season as well, both as a brand and as a team. And as a driver, Dennis Olsen, but it's a 2nd podium finish in as many weekends, and just reward really, because it's been really, really quick all weekend long. And after 0 points for Porsches yesterday, Dennis Olsen's got a 2nd place finish. Tommy Preining's got a 7th place finish, and Paul Lawrence Van Toor didn't quite make it into the points in the end in 11th place. All smiles then for Luca Stolz. Proud moments, huge smiles. And, well, he adds his name, as I say, to the list of many race winners. Dennis Olsen there, very pleased with his work as well, as he should be. He wasn't able to match the pace of our race winner, but he was able to keep the very experienced, very rapid Lucas Auer behind. And Lucas, 5th place yesterday, 3rd place today. It's been a very solid weekend again for him. He'll move up to 3rd place in the championship standings. Dennis Olsen, we've seen there, the Norwegian coming home in a fine 2nd place, the former Porsche Carrera Cup champion and Bathurst winner. But it's Luca Stolz that takes the victory here in race 2 at the Nürburgring. Podium time then, and the drivers will be brought on in reverse order. 3rd place, first of all, goes to Lucas Auer, and television's Matthias Vogel is the one to make the podium presentation. All smiles then for Lucas Auer. What's his 3rd podium finish of the year? His 1st podium since the 2nd weekend of the year at the Lausitzring. He got the win at Portugal as well to be the early championship leader. Dennis Olsen coming home in 2nd place for his 2nd podium finish. Actor Richie Muller is here this weekend and presents the 2nd place trophy. And we've also got the winning team's trophy now to be presented. And that, of course, will go to the local team from just outside the circuit perimeter, Team HRT. So their team representative is sent to the separate side podium. And the trophy is presented by the Mites goalkeeper to our winning team, HRT. But all cheers reserved for the big man of DTM. Luca Stolz about to calmly, quietly make his way onto the top step of the podium. And there it is, the winning trophy that's going straight to the top, and it's rallying legend Sébastien Ogier, the 8-time champion, that presents the winner's trophy to Luca Stolz. That's another great moment for Luca, and this will be a proud moment as well, the German national anthem. The national anthem plays out, photographs will now be taken, and Luca Stolz, who's our 8th different winner of the season, is surrounded by the drivers he's just beaten to that first race victory. Luca Stolz there in the middle, Dennis Olsen to your left, to the right, Lucas Auer. Lucas is a demon with the champagne as well. So Lugi, who's had lots of experience of champagne, of course, gets there first, absolutely splatters everybody. Another podium finish for Lucas Auer. Remember, he hadn't really spent much time as a GT driver. He was a Class 1 DTM racer for the last few years, and he really adapted to the cars excellently last year. Was one of the top point scorers in the second half of last season. And Lucas Auer, with his 19th career DTM podium, will enjoy that 3rd place finish. Great shots of a packed grandstand. Young DTM fans loving watching the cars heading into turn 1. A sunny turn 1, thankfully, today at the start of that race. But it wasn't a sunny disposition for quite a few drivers who had dramas in that race and contacts. David Schumacher ending the race with only 3 tyres on the car after he came together with René Rast. Both of them out of the race. We lost late on, of course, dramatically Mirko Bortolotti, Nick Cassidy, Dev Gore, Ricardo Feller, Philipp Eng, Clement Schmidt, Maro Engel, the other drivers that failed to finish the race. So his first weekend of racing, Theo Uverhaus, 19th place he gets in the Volkenhorst machine. But he won't be able to enjoy it too long because he's got to go and race DTM Trophy soon. And good luck for that. Right, so let's get some reaction now then down in the pit lane with Verena.
And I've got Lucas Auer here. Lucas, congratulations. I mean, that was a really good race, coming from P10 all the way to the podium, 3rd place. Are you happy with that?
Yeah, very happy. Also, I didn't expect that, but 2 starts were mega, and the pace was okay. Things still not quick enough, but with the starts and a mega pit stop from the guys, it was possible.
And you're really picking up the points. You're now the 3rd in the championship. So from here, as we just started the second half of the season, anything is still possible from here.
Unfortunately, we are so tight together. You know, you have one bad weekend, you're out, but I think we are a consistent scorer. We need to find a bit more speed, and then it's good.
And how did it feel out there? I mean, it was a jungle out there. Obviously, you didn't notice it as much maybe in the front, but it was crazy out there.
No, I saw behind me. Sometimes when I watched in the mirror, crazy fight. So I think it was a tough race. For us 3 at the front, it was... I couldn't catch up to the Porsche. He was a bit quicker, so it was a bit boring at the front.
Well, you did a great job. Thank you so much. And back to you.
Thanks very much, Verena. Yeah, good drive that, wasn't it, from 10th place. And he has been a demon starter this year, Lugi, and we saw it again today, didn't we? Really does go for the move, sometimes on the outside, sometimes down the inside, but always spectacular. Right, championship standings with 3 weekends to go. Sheldon Van Der Linde, 110 points. He has a 21-point lead over Mirko Bortolotti, who scored 0 points this weekend. Lucas Auer up to 3rd, as we've heard, on 85. René Rast, no points today, on 81 in 4th. And Lucas Stolz, look at that. A couple of good results, and you're up there in the championship. He's had 2 podiums and now a win. 73 points, 5th in the championship, just ahead of Nico Müller, who is 6th in the driver standing. Schubert Motorsport continue to lead the team standings as they did at the start of the weekend. 149 points, but it's been a good weekend for Abt Sportsline, moving up to 2nd place, and SSR Performance move up to 3rd. GRT dropping down to 5th, having started the weekend 2nd in the standings. Right then, super slow-mo of Dennis Olsen, and I think we can go down to Verena now in the pit lane.
And I've got Dennis Olsen here. Congratulations, another podium for you. You started in P2 and you ended up in 2nd place. So you're excited about that? What a successful weekend.
Yeah, I mean, finally now to finish it off is quite nice. Luca was incredibly fast today, so there was no chance to fight with him. But still, coming from 3rd and finishing 2nd is good. But to be honest, at one point it wasn't looking that good because I was down to P5.
But there was so much crazy action in this race. I mean, what do you think about that? I mean, is that typical Nürburgring?
Well, it is. I mean, we also have a very, very tight first corner, and of course, when we have a safety car, the pit stop is critical. And my team did a great job today. I think Luca's team as well was extremely quick today, but for sure that's where we made a difference and got a good chance on the restart.
Absolutely. You did a great job. Thank you so much. And we've got the winner here, your first victory, Luca Stolz. Congratulations. And I mean, the success story is also coming from P7 to victory. So how proud are you? How excited are you?
Yeah, definitely really proud. I'm still missing words a little bit because first DTM victory is always something really, really special, and it's just, really special if you win on your home circuit. So yeah, good Sunday. But yeah, today the team made a difference. They made an awesome pit stop. It was the right call coming in during safety car, and then pit stop was really quick, and I could go on the lead. And then yeah, we had a tight first corner. But yeah, the whole race was just pure fun.
And I guess like Dennis said, I mean, there wasn't too much pressure on you either because Dennis just couldn't catch up with you. You were just in a league of your own.
Yeah, I felt the car was great after the pit stop. We had really good tires and it was just flying. In the end, I also had quite a lot of drop on the rear, but yeah, still managed to bring it home. And yeah, it was just good.
So now we've got a 2-week break and then we're in Spa. And are you looking forward to that, especially with a victory in your pocket, maybe to even repeat that in Belgium?
Well, I'm not looking forward to the weight in the car in race 1 because in Spa it's heavy. But yeah, other than that, I love Spa. It's one of the best circuits in the world, so I'm really looking forward to it. Next week I have GT World Challenge, so no break for me, but yeah, it always feels good to end the weekend with victory.
Absolutely, and who knows, maybe you can repeat that. So thank you so much, Luca Stolz. And yeah, what a phenomenal weekend here at the Nürburgring. I mean, we've really seen so much action, absolutely crazy action. And we're really looking forward to Spa in 2 weeks, and hopefully you are too. And join us then. So now here are the highlights. Do enjoy and have a fantastic day. Bye-bye.
DTM-Sieg, 5 Jahre GT3 und jetzt stehst du zum ersten Mal ganz oben. Wie fühlst du dich? Ja, wir fehlen noch so ein bisschen.